Pretty good so far, man. Pretty good.
So, Block has seen the Facebook thing, like what StreamYard sends it out, and I told her I got the podcast today with Anthony. She goes, "Oh my God, I already seen it. I know two of y'all on the same podcast." She said, all right, man, we're live. Brian Adams here with Big Anthony James. I don't know what we're calling this. It's supposed to be called Dominate Your Life. I've been thinking of all kind of names. Anthony, you got it? I was going to call it the No BS. I was going to call it Regular Joe's Making Dough. I've been trying to come up with all kind of freaking names. So, Anthony, what's up, brother?
Not a whole lot, man. How you doing? I appreciate you having me on, Brian.
Yeah, man. I trapped you on here, man. I tricked you on to come and check you. Hey, so one, I want to say thank you to Anthony. Everybody watching this, whether it's live, I know we got a handful of people watching live right now. Say hello, type in your questions. Whether you're watching the replay through YouTube or we're cutting it up, it's gonna be on Twitter, it's gonna be on TikTok, it's gonna be all over the friggin' place. But I can entice Anthony. I told my wife today, I said I'd like to do 2 shows a week with Anthony. The bare minimum 1 show a week, and come up with with some kind of title, whether it's Dominate Your Life, come up with something. But Anthony, for you guys that don't know, Google him or whatever, one of the smartest guys I know. And I was going to say one of the smartest guys I know in construction, but that would be degrading it and wouldn't mean as much. So I'm just going to leave it at one of the smartest guys I know. I met him, 5 years ago now? But everything I even suggested for him to do, he did like 10 times, if not 100 times. And when me and my wife and my daughter, we were talking about the show coming up today, and my wife was like, "Oh my God, 2 of you arrogant son of a bitches on the same podcast." And she's looking at my daughter going, "Just picture your father, but 10 times, I don't want to say worse, but just 10 times more." And I'm like, no. I said, he's reserved. I'm going to try to get him not to be reserved. I want him to speak his mind. And there's much shit that we really want to say that we kind of hold back. And I'm over holding back. But
there's
anyway, man, jump in.
There's a difference between confidence and arrogance, Brian. It's up to the person. It's up to the person perceiving it to be the judge of that, though.
It is, man. It's like, and just we're in some of the same construction groups, and I don't know, but we're gonna be all over the place today. But any of you guys, I mean, just JB's here, Anthony's here. Let's just start off with this one, because I shared your post last week, and we're both of the same mindset. And I've been in personal development forever, and I spent years with Jim Rohn, Les Brown, and traveling and doing these personal development seminars. But I did have like a little twist on it to where, like, I even typed into our title this week was "Living Your Dreams" or "Live Your Dreams is a Lie." And I love that video that you posted just last week about so many gurus. Do you remember what it was? So many gurus trying to take your money and just you're buying into the bullshit. If you remember it, kind of touch on it.
Yeah. So, I mean, ultimately, I just made a post. I mean, it's like, it's always the bubble gum, the bubble gum and puppy dogs approach. Like, if you want to make a successful contractor business, you got to do all this dumb shit. You got to do all the same things that everybody else is talking about. And ultimately, I just see it as sugar-coated bullshit, to be quite honest with you. And that was something that I had to learn on my own, just through trial by fire and crucible. And I would say that was the biggest takeaway from last year for me and my company was, it's like I finally got to a spot where I had people on my team that were A players, and I'd sat through multiple different, presentations from different business coaches, and
yeah,
7 different secrets to hiring the right people for your team. and the truth, the hard truth is it's not about 7 secrets to hire the right people. It's like firing the right people is the key. And, it's like I found myself holding on for, way too long on people trying to trying to be the nice guy and trying to, for lack of a better, it's not your responsibility to be your team's friend. I mean, it can happen, but it's not the priority. And when it's not that you shouldn't care about your team, but you should not, there are certain lines you shouldn't cross. And when they are not performing or producing the results that we agreed that you would produce when you came here, I believe it's Jack Welch. He took on IBM back in the late 80s, and he had this scorched earth approach. And that was I read some of his stuff and some other stuff last year that just made a lot of sense to me. And if, it's like when somebody is not performing, it's just like not even a warning, like you're done.
Yeah. I mean, and there's so much, just like, God forbid, man, the internet. I mean, they're watching us on the internet right now. We could be full of shit, but we ain't. So there's that. And I'm not going to tell you how to make $1 billion a year, because I ain't never fucking did it. I don't want to do it. It takes too much work. I don't want to put the energy into it. And that's why I brought Anthony on here, because Anthony makes way more money than I make. I mean, he's just, like I said, he's taken it and just took his business to the whole other level. He's in the middle of it. He's taking his time out to be on the show today. And hopefully, if I can talk him into just doing the show every week, maybe twice a week, and just talk about current events, talk about politics, talk about the bullshit, talk about the secret society that he's a member of. That, I mean, so much bullshit on the. But look, even today, man, look, I had this dude. I don't know. So a couple of weeks ago, I'm in one of these groups, and this dude is asking for a job. Says he just moved to Nashville, Tennessee. He's got all this experience, and he's looking for a job in the wood flooring industry. That's a part of what I'm into. And I'm reading all of this shit that I'm saying, God damn, in Nashville, Tennessee, I mean, this dude shouldn't be looking for no job. I said, he must be a crackhead. Let me click on his profile. So I go to his profile, and all of his posts are A1, man. I'm like, shit, man, this dude should have no business having a job. So I didn't even respond to it. And then like a week goes by, and I've seen him post a couple more times. So I looked at it a little bit closer today, because he has his resume and all this other shit, and he ain't looking for a job. He wants to be a supervisor, and he wants to be there. And I was like, damn, bitch, do you want to work, or do you want to oversee people who are working? I said, right. You start your own company. And he's like, got all this, he's got all it, and he's broke, right? And I'm like, what the fuck, man? How are you 35 years old and broke? I mean, I know how I was, but it's like, and so I hit him up. And then he reached out to me on Messenger and asked a couple of things. And I responded once or twice. And then he's like, do you own a floor company? Do this and that? And I'm like, and I just gave him a thumbs up. I'm like, and so I guess he looked me up. And then he goes, oh, man, I looked you up. Your company, the contractor's contractor. You help contractors do that stuff. And he's like, Facebook ads. So I'm thinking maybe I can do the same thing for flooring companies. Can you point me in the right direction? I'm like, what the fuck, man? You don't even know how to do anything, but you want, and you touched on that. It's like, there's so many people trying to be a business coach and ain't never even had a business. So many guys wanting to run ads for people and never ran. I mean, it's just, and I said, do what? And he's like, oh, the same stuff that you're doing, helping contractors grow. I'm like, and I just quit responding to him, but you've seen it, right? Everybody, I don't know, man. Everybody wants to be the chief. Nobody wants to be the Indian. They all want to read a couple of these books and think they're freaking marketing gurus or business gurus. And like you said in that video that I shared last week and they're getting these gullible contractors or not even contractors, just small business people really to buy into their bullshit because for whatever reason, I don't know. You see it, right?
I got it, man. I'm to the point with it now where every time, like if I'm scrolling through Facebook, man, there's because the algorithms, they send certain stuff your way when you pay attention to certain things, man. And I'm to the point now where every time I scroll past a video and the first thing the guy says is, "Hey, contractors," I just want to reach through it and just rip its throat out, And it's like because I know he's full of shit. Immediately, hey, contractors, you want to make $1 million a year in revenue?
You know what's coming next.
Oh my God, any bumbling fool can do $1 million in revenue a year. You just do it by accident. You don't have to, it's like $1 million. What are you even teaching people? So I definitely think that, there's something to be said for going through it personally. And there's like, I applied a lot of the things that you taught me, but there was some things you couldn't teach me.
Yeah.
Nobody could teach me. And unless you've been through those things, you got no business teaching somebody else either. So I see one of the big things.
Give us a couple of things because.
Yeah. So the first thing I was just getting ready to get into is I see a lot of contractors, a lot of business people, a lot of like gurus or whatever. They're always praying to the gods of revenue, right? And yeah, cash flow is good, man. Don't get me wrong. I'm not gonna piss on the parade of cash flow, but all that's great. But at the end of the day, like, how much of it did you keep? Right? Profit's the king. And I don't understand why people don't talk about that more. I don't understand why it's not like the center of, what is being.
And that's the only number I care about. Yeah. That's the only number I care about.
So yeah, I mean they.
But I mean, like. No,
go ahead. Yeah, no, I just see it all the time. It's I've left a couple groups because it's just like revenue this, revenue that, and I'm just going like, man, but what's the whole point of this is to make profit, right? So
yeah,
I mean, I'd rather make.
Me,
I think we have a latency thing going on here.
Yeah, well, because like for me, it's like I want as much profit for the least amount of effort, and you're in it because I'm not in it anymore. I'm more of an advisor, helping my daughter grow her business. I'm helping a handful of other contractors, answering questions for them throughout the day. So I'm not in it anymore. I'm just, I want to spend my time teaching karate and arguing about how I think boys should be turned into men. But I mean, so you're in it. So I mean, but and it's just running the business. I don't know. I always say it's simple. It just isn't easy. There's but if you don't know your numbers and you don't know, you've learned it over the last 5 years. I mean, you went through the fire and you're still going through it because you're still expanding, growing into different states, growing the company, all of it. I mean, I don't know. And I don't want this all to be about business. I want to get into the whole life of it, but just, over the last 5 years, what's the three major things you really had to learn that no one could have taught you?
Yeah, I think that ultimately you really touched on one of them right there was, knowing your numbers, not the numbers of your competition or people who you shouldn't be competing with to begin with, and you're still trying to figure out what they're charging. I mean, that's a huge one. Knowing your numbers, knowing the mathematics of business is key. I'd say the next biggest one, if not even bigger than that, is just the psychology of how people operate and behave and why, managing people instead of managing, what was it? Jim Rome, he talks about majoring in minors, right?
Yeah.
And I think that learning not just what that meant, but how to apply it was pretty huge for me. Spending time on the things that are actually important, that actually produce results, figuring out what is the most important thing for me to touch on for that day and just focusing on it that month, that year. What is it that we're trying to accomplish and getting everybody on the same page? And then, systems and processes is huge. I'd say, I see a lot of companies, it's like, I ask a lot of business. I talk to business owners all the time. And one of the things I always ask them, because I already know the answer, but what is it you got into business for? What is it you really want to accomplish? Where are you at today? Where you want to be in 3 years? Yeah. And they're like, I don't even know, And so it's like knowing why you're in business, because if you, like you always said, man, if you have to go there, if you have to be there every day, it's not a business, it's your job. And my response to that is always, hey, there's no shame in that game. If that's what you want to do, fine. Yeah. But ultimately, I did not get into business so that I could work twice as long as everyone else and make half the money.
Yeah.
That's not what the hell I got into business for. And systems and processes, setting yourself up as the expert in the field. Those two things right there, man, that's a game changer. That's what'll keep you.
And we know you're the expert. I always have this thing with me, man.
Yeah, I had a little bit of help with that from a guy who knew a thing or two, right?
Hey man, some dude sent me a message. I can read it to you too, man. Some guy sent me a message going, "Hey man, I hear you talk about contractors should write their own book. I'm a painter, and you could probably do it pretty cheap for me using AI, right? How much would it be?" And I'm like, I didn't even fucking respond to him, man. I'm like, oh my god, the ignorance of some people, and fuck, I don't know. It's just, I guess I'm old and just tired of dealing with dumbasses.
It's difficult.
And construct, because for years, you know, I worked with small business owners, and I didn't really want to work with construction owners only because I knew they were like me, and I don't know, we're either just mule-headed, we're stubborn, we're fucking something. What's the problem with construction guys not getting the business aspect of it? It's hard to get them to take the leap from business owner from trade to business owner, and they're like, they all have the ego. I'm the best at hammering. I'm the best using a skill saw. No one can, you know, like, and I'm like, dude, knowing how to use a table saw and a hammer doesn't have shit. Knowing your trade doesn't have shit to do with the business. And the sooner you get that, the sooner we can move forward. But it's hard to get them to change. I don't know whether they don't want to change. What do you think it is?
I think you answer your own question and asking it. It's, you know, making the transition from being that tradesman into being a business owner. And there's a lot of pride that comes from, you know, being the best at, you know, running seamless stain grade miters, or, you know, the best smooth finished tile, or the most awesome gleaming, you know, hardwood floors. There's a lot of pride that comes with that. Yeah. And also, you know, in our industry, I think a lot of guys come from, you know, maybe tougher backgrounds. And so, you know, there's a lot of rough individuals in our industry. And so it is hard to find good help. And so at a certain point, when you've hired and fired and hired and fired, or you've hired and not fired and dealt with a bunch of, you know, just difficult individuals, it gets to a point where you don't feel as though you can trust anybody else. Right. And that's the key right there. I'd say this, you know, it's not even, I hate calling it a secret, man, because it's not. It's just the way it is. You have to get over your pride. You have to get over your ego, and you have to figure out, like, man, how can I find somebody to do it as I do better than me? And that's the only way you're going to accomplish it. And that's a kick in the pride for a lot of guys, you know? Yeah. I don't know.
Yes, I mean,
I don't know why they can't get over it.
Yeah. And I think for me, it's like, I don't know, maybe it's like, from all the years of teaching martial arts, is you always want your students to be better than you. But it was the same way when I was teaching the trade, is I want them to do it better than me. Learn this, do it better. I don't want to be the best. I don't care. I don't have any, like, I'm all about feed the bank account, not the ego. And the more guys I can have out there doing, you know, decent work, that have this whole, I've got to be the best of the best of the best, is like, you'll go broke with that mindset. It's like, man, I want a whole bunch of little soldiers out there bringing me money back. And if they can do it better than me, you know, at the end of the day, I just want the clients happy.
Yeah. One of the things that I work with some of the contractors around town with, in my business model, there's room for some of my associates or my trade partners. You know, they've come to me in the past with ideas of how to, you know, kind of joint venture on certain projects. And I think I explained it the best I could to an associate general contractor of mine. I think it was last year sometime. He came to me. I had given him my contracts, and he had reached out to me and said, "Hey, man, I don't really understand how to do this aspect of the planning of the job. Like, I don't have anybody who can draw blueprints or do engineering or anything like that. I don't understand. Can I hire you to do that?" And I was like, "Yeah, man. I mean, you could hire me to do that, or I could hire you, you know?" And he's like, "What?" So I brought him in, I explained the process, and he was like, "Well, I don't know, man. That's a big job. This is like $300,000 job." And I'm like, "Well, it's probably more than that. But if you look at it like this, like, I see it like this, like you were talking about, little soldiers who come out and bring me a little piece of money, right? So if I got a pie and I cut this pie into 4 pieces, right? Yeah. And I give 3 pieces away, but I take 1. Like, yeah, it's like, if you only have 1 pie, that kind of sucks. But, you know, the minute you get The minute you get 5 pies and you only get 1 piece of pie, now all of a sudden the math starts to be, starts to work out a little differently. And I think that it's that time horizon that people, they just don't conceive it yet. That's the best way I could put it. I'm not really sure why they can't, but I think that's ultimately what's happening. So,
well, you said like in the trades, we have the guys have the egos. We have the egos. We want to be the best at hanging bass or miter saws and cuts and just everything that we do. But with that, man, it is like it kind of goes back like the whole live your dreams, the motivation, the personal development, all that bullshit. But it's like that big of an ego. If you're the best, your ego should be able to step aside and let these other guys do it. But just to think that you're the best, and no one else can. It's like counterintuitive. Does that make sense to you? Am I saying that right?
Yeah,
it's like by not letting someone do it, you're the opposite of thinking you're the best or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, when you start a business, Brian, I mean, ultimately what you've done is you've created a platform of opportunity for other people, right? And so if it's completely selfish for you to be like, I'm the best. Well, you know what I'm the best at? I'm the best at hiring motherfuckers who are better than me at what I do, right? That's what I'm the best at. I'm the best at hiring the best, right? And so it's like, you see these contractor groups, they're always like, what kind of drill do you use? Oh, I like Makita. I like DeWalt and Makita, all this other stuff. I'm like, I like the ones the guys that I hire use. Those are the best ones. So
yeah, whatever they're using that gets the fucking job done, and the customer writes me a check. And at the end of the day, that's my favorite tool. So I don't know.
I mean, I know they all work better than the others, but it's all about, I've seen guys work circles around guys with Ryobi, and it's like at the end of the day, if you've got to attach your masculinity to something like that, that's what you got to do. But just produce the results. I don't care what you use. So
yeah, I don't care. And then because usually I'm sitting here with my T-shirt, right?
Yeah.
You see me today? I look pretty good, right? Because you've been posting some pictures all dressed up. I know, because you've been posting pictures like you're looking good. I said, son of a bitch is going to try to show up and look better than me. I got to put a tie on.
You got to dress for the job you want, not the one you have, brother.
Hey, so man,
I got a question for you though, Brian. You brought that up. You brought that up, like living your dream is a lie, man. Like, explain your side of that. I want to hear your perspective of that.
Okay. What is it? People want to do the affirmation. It started probably years ago when The Secret came out. And everybody was like, hey man, you seen The Secret? You read The Secret? And I read it and I was like, man, like I said, 80% of it's bullshit. I said, the only fucking thing that really matters is get up, go to work, and then you're thinking, how much profit do I want to come home with? How can I come home with more of it? But man, so many people get caught up into wanting to watch YouTube videos and reading this book and that book and this program and going to this seminar, and they spend a lifetime of personal and never take a fucking action. And I'm like, dude, the only thing that matters is you do have to figure out what it is that you want, all that stuff. But I tell people all the time, it's like when I was 9 years old, stepping off the church bus, and a guy asked me what I was going to do when I grow up. I'm like, dude, I'm 58 this year, and I still don't know what I'm going to do when I grow up. So I know I didn't know at 9 years old. So that's all fine and dandy. But at the end of the day, it's like, I know I want to spend the least amount of time physically earning money versus what I really want to do, whether it's teaching karate or talking with guys like you or help. Because I've helped a lot of guys in the trades these last 5 years. And I ain't made no fucking money. I don't do it for the money. I don't care. But the only thing, you've got to take action. And so many people get tied up in the whole books and seminars and Anthony Robbins and I don't want to say, and I guess all of it kind of works a little bit because I've done it. I've been through it. I've been through all of them. I've just, but the only thing that really made the biggest difference in my life was martial arts, because that changed me mentally. That increased my self awareness and my self improvement. It just, you cannot give away self esteem. And before martial arts, I didn't have any self esteem. I didn't have anything. is just, I knew I was poor white trash, always lived on welfare. That's probably how I was going to end up dying. How much money would the government give me? All of that other shit. And then when I got into construction, the same time I got into construction, I had got into martial arts right around 16. And then at the end of the day, working with my hands, I felt good because I felt like I did something. And that kind of, catapulted me into the whole, making me feel better about myself. And it never came from reading books or going to these seminars. I needed the education on building businesses and all it because I was still dumb as dirt, and still always trying to learn more and more and more. But man, I tell guys all the time is, read all the books, watch all the YouTube videos, go to the seminars. But the only thing that's going to make a difference is what you get up and do daily. And I know for a long time you were like getting up every day, going to the gym. I mean, you getting ripped. I mean, all of it. And then you were like, how can I serve you today? All of that stuff. It's the daily activities.
Yeah. There's a term that I like for that. It's called action faking. And it's definitely, it's like you say, man. And I think that's why the self-help industry is like billions and billions of dollars a year industry. It's like, you get a hit of dopamine because you finished an Anthony Robbins book, and there's lots of great platitudes that you can put on Facebook, and and it makes you feel great for a minute, and then you're like, I feel like I accomplished something, but I don't think I did shit. Right? Yeah. All I did was read this book and watch these videos, and that's not where the results come from, So, and I think that a lot of people get caught up in that. It's really easy to. So dopamine.
And you had shared something about like because we all read Think and Grow Rich. I've read it 3 or 4 times. I've got the audio book. I've listened to all that. And he's from North Carolina, Napoleon Hill. But he was a snake oil salesman that didn't do anything.
Well, he actually had one of his companies was a lumber yard, as a matter of fact, and he ripped a bunch of people off when it went under, and just kind of went. He was kind of what do you call those people? Like not a nomad, but like a traveling. I don't know what the word is, but I traveling salesman, door to door guy. But there's a lot of people who say that he never actually sat down with Andrew Carnegie, right? That he didn't really meet.
100% he didn't. But I mean, I don't know. It's like if it helps people, I mean, I don't know. I don't want to take it away from them, right? Because a lot of people fall into religion for that same reason. I mean, whatever it takes to get you, I mean, at a better height of living or wherever. I don't know. I don't want to take anything away from them. Read the book, and if it helps you, I guess, right or not?
No, it's right. So, I mean, I'll tell you, man, I actually did sit down with a billionaire. I still associate with him. He's one of my mentors, like an actual billionaire. And I went to Palm Springs a couple years ago and sat in his, in his dining room with him. And it was a very enlightening experience. I sat there and basically got tore apart for 6 hours, But what are you going to do when a billionaire, you start asking him questions about money and he starts telling you that you don't really know shit. And so he's like, I wouldn't hire you. I wouldn't use your business. Your business model sucks. And I took out a pen and paper and I sat there for 6 hours and I said, why? Right. And he was like, one of the reasons why we connected is because I had read Think and Grow Rich. And that's a book, like he carries the book around with him. So, I mean, but the difference between him and the average person reading the book is he's applying the principles, right? Yeah. And there's 16 principles, and Think and Grow Rich is really just the cliff notes of the 16 laws of success, which is, it's a book this thick. Think and Grow Rich is about that thick, But yeah, man, I think that's one of the reasons why it's really easy, especially in this age of information where all these concepts and these ideas can, travel at the speed of light and people hear it. And I mean, it makes sense. I'm like, yeah, it sounds great. And most of it does work if you apply it. Yeah. But I don't think people just don't apply it.
Well, for me, like what my biggest, I don't know, like what, like challenge with motivated a little bit, and the Grow Rich books and the Anthony Robbins, and you go to the seminars and all the other stuff is you hear all that shit and you buy into it, and God bless you. I want you to buy into it, and I want you to take the actions. But here's the truth: life's going to knock you in the fucking teeth 100% of the time. 100% of the time. That's the truth. And most people aren't ready for that because they've read the books, they've heard the story, they've heard burn your ships at sea, so there's no retreat. And I'm like, dumbass, keep the fucking boats on the shore. So because when you start to lose, and you're going to lose, you're going to need some kind of fucking retreat. Trust me, I burnt all the ships and all that bullshit, and it ain't fun building from ground up again. Just run over there, get your ass kicked, run back to the boats. Go over there, get your ass kicked, run back to the boats. All of like Alex Hormozi, man. I love Alex Hormozi. I love everything that fucker says, man. I watch his videos, all of it. And he's like, give, and don't ask for the sale. And keep giving and keep giving and keep giving and then don't ask for the sale. And then like he can say that shit, but that ain't how he built his money. He built the gyms, and he's losing, and then he went and built some more gyms and said, hey, I'll come to your gyms and help you build those gyms. And he did that, and that kind of was successful. And then he said, well, I don't have time to keep going to all these gyms personally, but maybe I can do it, and I can teach you over the phone. And then so he made all the fucking money, and then he says, give. I got you, brother. So once you make the millions and millions of dollars, then you can give. But before that, you got to go buy bread, and you got to pay rent and mortgage and other shit. So you need to ask for the money. And by giving, it's a disservice to people. When people pay, they pay attention. And when I'm my own worst critic, because I give to these contractors, knowing all I'm doing is hurting them, probably because they're listening to it and it's fucking value information if they took action. But since there's no value in it because they didn't give me any money for it, it just gets brushed under the rug. They don't take any actions, or I heard about that, I did this, that didn't work. I say, no, it didn't work because you didn't fucking do it. And then if it didn't work when you did do it again, and then do it again, and then do it again. I'm telling you, it works. I've done it 100 times. I've seen other guys do it 100 times. It fucking works if you work it. And that's my biggest problem is, like, you need to know that, look, man, you're going to take 10 steps forward, 8 steps back, 10 steps back, 3 steps forward. It's just it ain't supposed to be easy. If it was easy, everybody would be at the fucking top. There wouldn't be any room for you. Where you're at right now with your business, nobody would want to go through the shit that you went through. Man, when I was in Boise like 2 or 3 years ago, and you break away from one of the job sites to come sit there, and I seen in your face, I knew you didn't want to be there. And you're like, God damn it, this motherfucker showed up. I got to show. I can't do it, right? And then we met for drinks and beers afterwards, and and I think it wasn't the last bad day of your business, but it was probably it was close to one of the last bad days, to where I know you said, fuck this tool belt, I'm over this. You remember that?
I remember that too. I'm trying to remember exactly what it was, but I was pissed about something, and it was just some dumb shit.
It was
back on it.
It was a deck that you had to work on. Someone didn't show up, and you had to go on a deck or build a deck, or someone. It was like, I don't know. But I know that was close to one of the last times that you said, "Man, fuck this."
Yeah, it was. It was right about then where I really got traction on everything, and it really did kind of boil down to. I mean, looking back at it now, it just seemed like such an overwhelming, problem at the time. Like, looking back at it now, that's some broke folk problems, man. I wouldn't even stress something like that now. My problems are so much bigger these days, and I feel like that's blessed. So I just say, everyone, you always look into somebody else.
So that's the whole live your dream things. No, go ahead. You're thankful what?
Yeah. So, and I just noticed it was for myself. I would always, for a long time, I would look to other people and be like, man, that's where I want to be. Like, how do I get where that guy is? Right. And then, I would push and I'd push and I'd push and I'd get to that point, and I'd look back and I'd be like, God damn, the same goddamn problems with just more zeros on the end of them. And so at some point you just realize it's like, hey, I'm never going to get to this Candyland fantasy world where these problems don't exist. I just have to embrace the chaos and make order of it somehow, and that's what a professional does every day is he solves problems. And if you can't solve problems, well, probably not going to get paid very much. So.
Hey man, what, here's one that we had in common too. Was like, I don't know. I'll have a couple of rum and coke. I don't know. I'm not a huge drinker. I've never did any other drug. I don't want any of that stuff. But I know you were like Ice Cube or like Mr. T and shit. I mean, you at one time was like you could have made a living selling marijuana. I may not. Grant Cardone said the same thing that me and you talked about.
Yeah. I may or may not have made, a couple bucks in that world. I may or may not have a checker pass, but that's either near or there. But ultimately, it was funny. A friend of mine sent me a meme of Elon Musk today talking about how, drug dealers today know more than most small business owners about business. And it's kind of true, so. I spent some time over in Oregon and Washington, and I kind of put that past behind me, and I applied a lot of what I was doing there into my business today on a regular basis. That, with the exception of actually, smoking it, there's a lot of similarities for sure.
So, but here's my problem is. But in construction, a lot of guys think that they can get high and it doesn't affect them and it ain't affecting their business and all this other shit. And even when I'm talking to them, and I'm like, dude, you don't even have a clue what it's doing. And you don't even, I'm like, I just give up. I don't even, like, dude, you're not going to get it. You're never going to get it. Can you think someone can get high every day and run a successful business? Or do
honestly,
you have to define success, I guess?
You really kind of have to define success. It kind of goes back to like, hey man, if that's what you want to do with your business, then more power to you. But as far as I'm concerned, go smoke that shit, bro. Because I'm gonna dominate you every day of the week. So I mean, you can't stand to get don't stand a chance against. That's what you're gonna do. So
always, yeah. And Grant Cardone, I remember Grant Cardone said the same thing. It's like, man, let them get high, let them do this, and like, because man, it's like there's no competition anyway, and they're just making it easier for you.
Yeah. Looking back, I used to smoke weed a lot, and I used to think that I was, always more productive on it. And it wasn't until I quit, and it wasn't even like a couple of years later after I quit where I realized what the hell I was really doing to myself. I started gaining a certain amount of clarity, not just in my business, but just in life in general. And you start realizing that it really is, man. If you got to stay sharp, because business isn't, a tour around the romper room. We're out here playing for keeps. And if you aren't, well, then you're going to get kept. So. But yeah, man.
All the way through. Let's talk about, so I don't know. You keep hearing all the shit about recessions coming. The recession's coming. We're in the recession. Inflation's high. They're raising the interest rate. Construction guys are going to be laid off. All this other stuff. What do you think's happening? Are we headed for a recession? Are we in a recession?
I don't know, to be honest with you. I think that every market, when a market can't just continually go all the way up or all the way down as hard as the last market did, whether it went up or down. A market cannot maintain that sort of trajectory without some kind of correction. And for a while there, the Fed was really pumping in a lot of money into the market, and more money than they really should have been. It was a little overboard, and they tried to overcorrect the same way. And ultimately, I mean, we'll touch a little bit on the secret society thing, man. And I kind of believe that I'm always counting on the ignorance of those who lead us to ultimately be their own downfall. Because it really is a testament to, the people who run the economic policies and the politics. They really don't know what the hell they're doing. I mean, ultimately, everyone's always, fighting, left, right, red, blue, Republican, Democrat. At the end of the day, the people who are really running, shit are the people running the Federal Reserve, and they're just puppets too. But
yeah,
I mean, you watch their economic policy, and it doesn't take a rocket scientist or, even a Freemason to understand those people to know what the hell they're doing. So,
yeah. Hey, let me ask you this. You've heard the old saying, ignorance is bliss. Do you believe it? And what I mean by that is, because you and I are more educated than the most common Joe type guy. I mean, because I know you read a lot, you listen to a lot of things, you watch all of it, and I dig deep to find out really what's going on. Because again, like, I have no education. I know I'm as dumb as dirt, so I'm constantly trying to educate myself on how things work, the behind the scenes, to try to figure it out. And now, man, the more I learn and the more I educate myself over these last 20 years, I understand what that whole saying, like, ignorance is bliss, is. It's like you almost don't want to take the pill. You almost want to be put back into the fucking matrix and not know what's going on. I don't know. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, man. I mean, ultimately, if you're truly ignorant, yeah, it's bliss. But I mean, I don't know. As far as, like, you say we're more educated than most people, and that might be true in some sense. I think that ultimately we as a society have lost touch with a desire to understand the nature of our reality around us. And I won't go too deep into that, because that's a whole nother discussion for a completely different podcast. But I think that, I think I'm smarter than the average bear, but I think that that's only because I know that I don't know what I don't know. And I just always count on that to bite me in the ass every single day. It's like, and that's something I've really, ingrained into the members of my team, especially in my industry, where it's like, we're in custom construction, custom, additions and new builds, and just stuff that's, it's different. Like, I got one project manager who's working for me. He comes from a home builder that built 5 to 10 different homes over and over and over and over again, and everything's already set up. It's cookie cutter, right? But you step into my world where it's something custom every day. It's different. And I just told him, I was like, man, you have to understand that every morning in this world, you are waking up and you're getting in the ass by 10 different, scenarios, and you just don't know what they are yet. Your job every day is to figure out where you're taking it from. And that's ultimately, that's what ignorance is, man. Ignorance is, I feel like I'm getting fucked. I just don't know by what. Right. And so,
or by who?
Yeah. Same difference.
And I think like PBD, like Patrick Devitt, I listen to him all the time, but it's the whole thing is like, you want to stay ignorant, meaning you want to know that you're ignorant. So you're always trying to educate yourself, always trying to see what's around the corner before you get to the corner, and always staying paranoid, but at the same time living, super happy and carefree. But no, because when, like, and from the years of martial arts, it's like I walk in looking for the exit. I walk in I'm scanning. As soon as I walk in, I'm scanning the room, seeing who could be a problem, who couldn't be a problem, who's wearing a Band-Aid on what finger, on and I'm looking for all of that instantly. Yeah. But now I'm doing it. Now I'm doing it worldwide, like financially and what's around the corner. And I don't care what the economy is. Even in 2008, when everybody was going belly up because of the housing market, the crash, there's always someone like the investors were buying these houses for, foreclosure. They needed work done. They needed to turn around. So there's always going to be, even during the, like the 20s, rich, somebody's always spending money. You just need to be the one that they're hiring. And that's what I try to get through to these guys is let the potheads smoke. Let all these guys who don't want to do what we talk about in business, let them go ahead, man, because when shit really hits the fan, people are going to be spending money. They're going to be hiring contractors. Make sure you're the one that they're hiring.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think ultimately, kind of to go back and touch on the actual question that you asked, are we in a recession? I think ultimately, no, we're not. And I think that everyone has, like what you're saying, they have this tendency to be sort of pessimistic, and it's easy to, to look for the dopamine hit, look for, the joint, where's the bottle at? I just want to not think about it for a minute. But it's in these times where, where the most opportunity is found. Like when you're in these rough times, that's where you need to be as sharp as you can be. It's not when you're on top of the world, But I think ultimately the big difference between now and 2008 is, we're not in a subprime market with the housing, and, the jobs market is strong. And, they did that report a couple months ago and they were expecting it to be way lower than it was. And I think that we're also in an economic climate where the Fed has no choice but to turn on the money printer again. And as counterintuitive as that sounds, our markets excel when the money printer is on. And that's what keeps everything flowing ultimately. And it's a counterintuitive situation. And that's why a lot of people didn't understand when Trump was getting elected. Like, they're all pissed off because he spent $750 in taxes on a $4 billion portfolio. Like, how does that happen? Right.
Yeah.
It happens because our entire economy, the whole game is set up around that. Talk to Robert Kiyosaki. He knows a thing or two about that. Talk to Grant Cardone. He knows a thing or two about that. If you don't understand how to leverage your debt properly, well, maybe go talk to Dave Ramsey. He knows a thing or two about that. Yeah. But I mean, ultimately at the end of the day, you can talk to, you can listen to, and you can action fake all of this every day. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter unless you get out there, make a decision and make a mistake and learn from it.
Yeah. When they, because a lot of guys are telling me, but Brian, the experts keep saying the experts. And I'm saying, dude, nobody's a fucking expert in this because this is a total different, brand new. We've never had the bullshit fake ass pandemic that told people to stay home, let us print money. It threw everything out of whack. Meaning, like, when I say out of whack, meaning all the charts that you can look at, the recessions, the up, the down, all of that, all of it was man-made. All of it was fake. I mean, so it's all brand new. So who knows? I mean, like, when they shut down everything, I didn't know, like, these guys are calling me up. Are we working? Are we not working? And it's like, man, until they arrest us, we're going to work. And man, we had 3 times as much business during those 2 years of the fake pandemic than we've ever had. And I don't know where the fucking money was coming from, except for, like you said, they're printing it, they're giving it away. I don't know. I mean, so it's all new. So there's no expert in something that's fucking brand new.
They pumped all that money into that pandemic thinking that, well, we got to tell everybody to stay home. So we got to stimulate it somehow. Right.
Yeah.
For the most part, people didn't stay home. They did what the hell they wanted to anyways, because they knew it was bullshit. And, and then here we are, we inflated the marketplace with all this extra cash, and the market, that's not healthy for the market. It had to correct.
Yeah.
But you mind if I answer Jonathan Lockwood's question? Really? You mind if I take a stab at that?
Yeah, go ahead. Then I'll correct you.
Yeah, go ahead. Read his question for me. Man. Jonathan Lockwood says,
it says, how do I take the next step to get another crew going? It's been me and one other guy. I'm ready to expand and not sure how to go about it. And I think, Jonathan, type in here what trade you're in. Is it hardwood flooring? Is it painting? What is it that you do? But go ahead, answer him, Anthony.
Yeah, while we're waiting on him to respond, I mean, ultimately, it also depends on where you're at, as far as where you're at with your company, what your revenue kind of looks like, what your numbers look like. It also kind of depends on what expansion really means to you. He's in your field. He's one of your troopers, man. Jonathan, the thing that worked for me ultimately was getting clear on. Because it sounds like you're trying to find the right people to work for you on your crew. And what does that ultimately mean? It means that you want guys who are responsive, guys who are reliable, guys who are skilled. And yeah, we can go back to the whole, well, you got to pay them well, you got to pay them better. And that does help, man. I mean, look around at your market, find out, like, is the average skilled person I would much rather, first of all, I would much rather hire one guy who knows what the hell he's doing at $40, $50 an hour than hire three dumbasses at $20 an hour. All right. You're going to get way more done. You're going to have a whole lot less problems. But ultimately, beyond the money, we're in a whole new marketplace, man. The money is important. It's right up there with oxygen, but it's not the most important thing. For me, what helped me to capture the talent that I was looking for was something that Brian actually helped me out with. Coming up with the vision of the company. Not just for me and what the company is like, but where can the vision take them within this company? What is the opportunity that is there for them, right? It's a service to them because at the end of the day, I'm paying the paychecks, but ultimately I'm the one working for my team. I'm the one who made the decision to quit my job and create a platform of opportunity for others. And so I have an obligation to that. And your obligation to that is coming up with a vision that other people can not only see, but understand and want to be a part of. And that's more than, I got, I'll pay you a couple bucks more than the last guy. And I've got some shitty benefits. Woo! Nobody cares, man. What are we going to do? Where are we going to be in 5 years? I want to be running my own crew. I want to do this. I want to be better than I was tomorrow but than I was yesterday. Help somebody do that, man. Figure out what that looks like, get it written down on paper and tell others about it. Tell as many people as you can about it.
Yeah. Because if it's not written down, it's not real.
Yeah.
So
it's definitely not.
But because I'm with there was a guy that posted in our group the other day, a couple of days ago, about how much do you pay your new guys and this and that. And I'm like, employees don't cost you shit. They earn you money. If they're not earning you money, you fire them. But it's not like, you want to pay them more than everybody else around, but when you set them down in the beginning, interview process, all that shit, it's just like you just said right now. It's like, hey, I'm going to pay you this much. You can go down the street and this guy's going to pay you $2 or $3 more. But here's what I'm going to do. Within the next month, you're going to learn this and this. Within the next 5 years, you'll learn enough to where we can set you up with your own company if that's what you want. And then I've got a history of guys that I've helped get their contractor's license who are off doing their own thing, even close to me. There's no... with each other, we help each other. I mean, you got some guys sitting over here, we're busy, or someone called in sick. It's like, so all of that is like, you show them the future of where they can be and how much they're going to be making 6 months from now, 6 years from now. And and I think you too, Anthony, I think you subcontract everything out. I like to pay piecework. I grew up on piecework, North Carolina, furniture capital of the world. Most of my relatives got paid piecework, meaning like how many chairs and arms and this and fabric and stuff. The more pieces of furniture you put together, at the end of the day, that's how much you earn. So you made money depending on how much you worked, and I like doing that for my guys. I say, look, man, once I get you trained in this, and my technique is different than what they teach at National Wood Flooring Association, is I can show you how to knock this out quicker than anybody of our competition. So you'll be making even more money, and you can go to any state in the country and I can show you the business part. I can show you the systems. I can show you the marketing, all of that. So they're like, oh shit, man, I got to work for this dude. And then we give them, the first 2 books I give them is As a Man Thinketh and The Richest Man in Babylon, because I want them to know how to save fucking money. I want them to know how, and we pay them because, man, it's like, you pay them Friday, they're borrowing money Monday. I'm like, fuck this. You can pay Monday so you can stretch the money out, but you need to learn how to save it. All of that stuff. And like Patrick Bett, I just heard him say the other day, is like in his interview process, it was like he tells everyone that they hire, it says like every month you have to read a book and give us a book report on it. And they laugh going, yeah, I haven't read a book in a couple of years. He goes, no, I'm serious. Every week, every month, you're required to read a new book and give us a book report on it. And we're not going to do that in construction, but I thought, man, in the office world, in the management world, in the leadership world, that's a fucking great concept. It's like, no, man, if you ain't willing to not watch Netflix for a fucking hour every night, just cut it down a little bit. You ain't got to turn it off, but and always educate yourself on something. And he didn't tell them which book to read. Like, you can educate yourself on something and give us a book report on it. Let's talk about it. you know, share it with the group. You got to have that vision of like where they can go. And I did seminars forever saying it's like, you know, no matter how great I think I am or my kids think I am, guys don't show up to work for me to make me a lot of money. They show up because they got their own fucking reasons. They want their own boat. They want their own house. They want their own company, something. And that's where we show them in the very beginning, from day one, where they could be if they stick around. But then you got to have the phone ringing. So it goes back to the fucking marketing and all that crap. All of it. It's like the whole profit thing, how much profit is coming in, because like in the beginning, if it's a new person, like you said, if you don't hire the $40, $50 hour guy who knows what to do, you give him the address, he goes over there, comes with money, split it, share it, yada, yada. If you're training them in the beginning, man, the first month you're losing money. Second, third month, you're breaking even if you got a good training program or they're gone immediately. If they're not, but that's up to fucking you. What's your training program? Like, guys talked all that shit. Like, even with you and I in the beginning, it's like guys talk to shit about, oh man, this guy and this, and he didn't know. It was like, oh yeah, man. It's like, man, yeah, let's get together, man. Show me your employee handbook. Let me see where you're messing up. What do you mean? They ain't got no employee. Like, how the fuck how do you expect them to just show up and start knowing shit that you don't even know?
So
all of that,
Brian.
Let
me cut in there for a second. And so talking about, I just want to touch on what you just talked about right there, because that's another key aspect of hiring people too, man, is like, separating the bullshit from the truth. And one of the things I like to ask people, because we don't really hire people outside to do like labor. Like we'll subcontract a hardwood flooring guy, or we'll subcontract a drywall guy, or we'll subcontract the framers, but we don't have anybody on our crew swinging those hammers. So I don't have to answer those questions anymore, but, or ask them. But one of the things that we do ask, my team is strictly management. And so one of the questions we always ask is, well, what makes you a project manager? And so I'd like to, if you don't mind, Brian, I want to put you on the spot, right? So let's pretend I'm hiring you for hardwood floor, and I'm going to ask you. I'm going to ask you, Brian. Hey, Brian, what makes you a hardwood installer or finisher?
What makes me a hardwood floor installer or finisher?
Yep. Yeah.
I guess it's just the history of doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just the history of me doing it, the experience of doing it over and over. As many times as I've screwed them up and had to fix them, it's like, that's all I've done.
Yeah. It sounds like.
What do you want me to answer?
No, I just wanted you to answer honestly. What makes you the guru in hardwood ultimately? What makes you the best at what you do?
Yeah, because I'm not the best. I'm like most guys want to do a 10. I want to do a 7+. Because that's where the profit is. I want to get in and make the customer happy, and then get out. I didn't like everything for me is time versus time and money. Time and money. How can I do this faster today than I did last week and make more profit?
Brian.
Yes.
Brian. That's what makes you the fucking best, bro. Shut up. That's the answer I'm looking for when I ask somebody what makes them a project manager. Time, money, people.
Look, because when you read Henry Ford's biography, and every year he's trying to pay his employees more, earn more profit for the company, and charge less for the truck, that shouldn't be possible. So you got to figure out how I can make that possible. And that's what I've done over the years. And why we're able to, build company and then sell it. They come in, they see the numbers, they see, oh shit, okay, yeah, this makes sense. And what I'm helping my daughter do now, and what I've helped guys do, over the last 5 years in other trades, it doesn't change. It's time and profit. You only got so many hours in a day. How much profit can you make? You can make more profit with more Indians out there.
We talk about, people just reading books and everything, but, that was one of the most inspiring things that I found in Henry Ford's autobiography was for 10 years in a row, a decade in a row, every single year, he increased the pay of his people, increased the quality of his product and also lowered his price 10 years in a row, man. That's pretty inspiring. Like, how do you do that? Like, how do you really do that? You know, and he became one of the richest people in the world doing that thing, you know, that right there. So,
and for what you do as a general contractor, I mean, for me, it's like overwhelming. I don't even want to try to figure it all out. I just want to stick to that one little trade and get as, you know, as profitable as I can. But I tell these guys, it's like, dude, look, man, I figured it fucking out. I can charge 30 to 40% more than you because of my reputation and my marketing skills, but I can do it 30 to 40% faster than you because I've figured that system out. And I can pay the guys. It's like, so all the way, I'm making 70%, 80% more profit. I could undercut every job you go bid if I wanted to and still make more profit than you would have made if you charged what you want to charge. And when you can get that in the mindset and stop trying to be the best of the best of the best, and start thinking more about your family and your guys and paying them more, all of the other shit. It's like get out of the fucking ego.
Yeah, and I think Brian Klink here, he says he hits a nail on the head. He says the assembly line is how he did it, and ultimately, what that boils down to is he became a master of time and a master of his systems and processes. And you know, you asked me, like, as a general contractor, how did I figure that out? I mean, that's a big key thing right there. As a general contractor, most people, including general contractors, think that I'm just some kind of glorified handyman or something. But it's not that I'm generalizing in all these different things. It's that I am a general leading a crew of skilled individuals across the battlefield of business, right? And ultimately, it took me a minute.
I heard you say that. I love that.
It took me, you know, it actually took me, realistically, it took me sitting down and writing that book that, you know, you harped on me for years to write, for me to really figure that out. And what it boiled down to is, well, what do I specialize in? You know, you got drywallers, that's all they do all day long. They don't do electrical. Electricians, they don't do drywall. And, you know, framers, they don't do drywall or electrical. They niche in something. So what is it, as a general contractor, what the hell do I really niche in? What makes me a project manager? Well, first and foremost, I'm a master of time, which then allows me to manage people effectively, which then creates this byproduct that we like to know as money. So I am a master of time, people, and money. And that's what I do. I plan the job, and then I manage the job. And I see and I lead the crew or the platoon, or I lead the army of skilled individuals across that battlefield to a victory. And that's what I specialize in as a general contractor. I specialize in project management.
Yeah, you're like the conductor of the band.
Yeah,
the band members play the instrument, you play the band.
Yeah. Hey, John, you're welcome. I appreciate you too.
Hey, man, let's talk about cryptocurrency, because you said don't buy shit. You said friends don't let friends buy shit crypto.
Friends don't let friends shit coin.
That's it. So I already about the shit coin, but man, when you listen to some of these guys and the billionaire dude, Michael Stan, whatever, but I want everybody to start educating themselves on it more and more. It's I don't know. It's like if 100 of us got together and said, "Hey, man, we're gonna trade and with each other. We're gonna come up with our own little something, because you need plumbing done, you need this, you need some watermelons, you need some deer, you need some cows, and so each of us needs something done, because all money is fake. It's all just made to fuck up. But man, now that we're getting closer and closer to digital currency ran by the government, so we're moving in that direction.
So that's a key thing right there, and I see that mistake being repeated a lot, not just in media, but on social media, in the news. You know, hey, the government runs the banks. No, the government doesn't run the banks. The banks run the government. So let's get that straight right now. All right, the banks run shit. The banks rule the world. The governments, they don't do shit. They just do what they're told. We'll get into that later, maybe. But ultimately, the CBDCs, or the central bank digital currencies, is what's coming. It'll be here by the end of this year. And before any of you even know what's happened, you will be in a cashless society. You will trade everything digitally. It will be as simple as carrying around, your phone. You'll just basically point your phone at, or swipe it across whatever it is you want. You'll pay for it. You'll exchange your value. You'll move along your day. It'll be just like that. It solves a lot of problems, but it creates other ones too, like the problem of liquidity. So right now, if I wanted to send you $1 million cash, Brian, from Boise to California, it would take, about a week through the banks. There would be a lot of gas fees or charges. Whereas with cryptocurrency, we can do that immediately, and it's extremely cheap. I could travel abroad with $1 million or more, and I don't have to worry about whether or not I can get it exchanged at different rates, because it's valued at what it's valued at globally. It's instant liquidity. But that being said, man, I think that everyone really needs to educate themselves on what CBDCs really are, and what digital currency is versus what a cryptocurrency is, because there are big differences. And I look to the CBDC revolution with a little bit more optimism than most people do, because it will bring in economic slavery. If you think you're a slave now, you should just wait. You ain't seen shit yet. It's coming, folks. And if you don't educate yourself, well, you got nobody to blame but yourself. And Bitcoin in itself is the only true autonomous currency out there. Like, it's not run by anybody. It's a mathematical protocol that operates autonomously, meaning it does what it does regardless of any human intervention. It cannot be regulated. There are some rumors out there of who really started Bitcoin, this, that, and the other, but ultimately, at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
There's another one out there that's called Litecoin that's similar. It was basically based off the same principles as Bitcoin, but ultimately, all these other cryptocurrencies that are out there on the market, they're all centralized. They, like Ripple owns XRP. They can create more XRP. They can dump on the market and lower. They can control the market. They're market makers. These companies and these exchanges, they know what's going on, and there's no regulation. That's what happened with FTX. They knew how to manipulate the market by seeing the calls and the puts being made. And so they were able to bet with that insider knowledge, and there's no regulation on it. And the beautiful thing about the CBDCs is it's going to bring in that regulation that's needed. And once that happens, a lot of these larger investors will move back into the marketplace. And next spring, we're going to have what's called the halving, where Bitcoin's blockchain reward rate gets cut in half, and it being a deflationary currency, meaning it gets more and more scarce as time passes.
Hey, can you use Bitcoin right now? Like, could someone pay you to build their house? Could you go buy a car? Could you laptop? Right
now, I would absolutely accept Bitcoin.
Yeah.
The problem is most people don't have enough Bitcoin. They don't even know anything about it, right?
Yeah.
Bitcoin solves every economic problem that we've ever had. You cannot manipulate it. You cannot. You cannot debase it. You cannot cheat the protocol. It is extremely difficult to create, and that's what the saying is it's hard money. It's hard to create, which makes it valuable. That's what backs Bitcoin. Is it has got a mathematical
like the Fed just printing it.
Right. Nobody can just print more Bitcoin. It's impossible. And
Yeah.
you know, whereas like your fiat dollars or your CBDCs that are coming, that's extremely soft money. It can just be created out of thin air. And so Bitcoin pretty much solves the economic dilemma that has faced humanity since the dawn of time and trading and exchanging, you know, value amongst ourselves. And who is Satoshi?
Well, look, you started off. You said,
what's that?
well, like
What
when
you say, Brian?
Trying to like you started off saying trying to wire me $1 million, or just say if you're trying to wire me $100,000. Imagine trying to put $100,000 in your suitcase and hopping on a plane and flying to California to give it to me. If they caught you with that, they confiscate it and then keep it for who knows how long until you can prove where you came from. All of that stuff. It's just it's maddening. It's like you said, the banks run everything globally.
Well, you know, and it's really interesting you say that too, because I mean, you could carry a USB stick, right, on you at all times. As long as you know those keys, you could travel around with $100 million on you, and it's going to cost you fractions of pennies to exchange it. And it baffles me. And I think that within the next 5 years, I think that it's my opinion. I could be completely wrong on this. I'm not a financial advisor, so do your own goddamn research. But ultimately, I just see it as silly that we actually still value Bitcoin in US dollars, but only because the USD is the global, it's the global exchange currency. And so that's ultimately why it is. But I think CBDCs will be the catalyst of education that brings cryptocurrency into the main space of people's awareness. And by the time it does, everyone's going to be like, fuck, I wish I'd have bought Bitcoin in fucking 2023. I wish I would have bought Bitcoin in 2018. Right. And that's what it's going to be like. So, and every cycle, Bitcoin's had 4 cycles now. It's been around for 12 years, a little more than 12 years. And each time we've had a halving, the bull market begins approximately 12 months before that halving. And then 12 to 18 months after the halving, it hits its all-time high before crashing again. And that has happened consecutively every 4 years, every halving cycle. And there is no indication that this time is any different. It's exactly the same. And so if you don't know anything about Bitcoin and you're thinking that, well, it's $27,000. I don't have $27,000. So what? Get $100 every week. Quit drinking those stupid ass 1,000-calorie fucking coffee drinks and spend $20 a week and put it in Bitcoin. Don't be like these guys that you see. They're the trading gurus. They're the same as the business gurus, man. Join my team or join my program, and I'll show you how to make $1 million yesterday by trading cryptocurrency. Bitcoin isn't meant to be traded. I mean, if you're savvy and you know how to do all that shit, and you can read charts and all these different things that they know how to do, then quit your business and become a day trader. Otherwise, just buy Bitcoin and hold on to it. I guarantee you that you will not regret it in 2025. So,
yeah, the crypto world, the blockchain, man, it's like, and every 80 years, like you said right now, the US dollar is the dollar. I mean, worldwide, we're the choice. But that changes every 80 years, and it's been 80 years since we've been in the choice, dollar. And I don't know, like, whether China's going to take over, who knows? I mean, but like you said, the way we've printed money and what we've been doing lately, I don't know how much longer we can stay, the big guy on the block, financially. I think this next year and a half with the whole election coming up and the madness that's going to be happening, I don't know. It's like whether the economy takes a slow down for like the people who do have money going to wait to see what's happening.
No, that election is going to guarantee our next bull run. Elections don't happen in shitty economies, brother. It just doesn't work that way.
Yeah, but before is it going to be before the election or after the election?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't even want to try and guess on that. All I know is that it's going to take something pretty cataclysmic for the U.S. dollar to go down against, you know, even the BRICS nations. I mean, at the end of the day, there's so many different geopolitical things going on. I mean, we could go on for another hour at least on, you know, I can go off on tangents on this, but ultimately, I think what it boils down to is if you don't understand blockchain technology, or you at least don't understand cryptocurrency versus tokens, or if you don't understand what Bitcoin even is, man, I'm here to tell you that this time next year you'll wish you had. And so educate yourself on it. And the best place I could tell you is there's a book by a gentleman called Saifedean Ammous. And he wrote a book called The Bitcoin Standard. He also wrote one that just recently came out called The Fiat Standard. Read the Bitcoin Standard, educate yourself, learn about this stuff, and then figure out whether or not it's a risk you're willing to take. So,
yeah, because I don't know, like most people are just trying to keep their Netflix bill paid, keep the electric on, keep the rent like stuff. I guess it's like everything is connected to everything. It's like you said, you have the same problems, just more zeros on it.
So if you take and get rid of your Netflix, and you get rid of your cigarettes, you get rid of those stupid ass coffees in the morning, and you get rid of your weed, I guarantee you that in 3 years you'll be a millionaire if you just quit fucking around.
But see that you're wanting people to wait 3 years, and they need an instant gratification.
Yeah, it's called time horizon.
The Netflix and the cigarettes and the weed gives them an instant gratification, and you want us to wait 3 years. What the fuck is wrong with you?
Ain't nobody got time for that. So really quick though, Jackie, she goes, "Great, make me a millionaire, right?" Well, Jackie, it's best that you become a millionaire so you get to keep it. That's the key thing about that. So,
you know, because my friend and mentor Jim Rohn says he wants everyone to become a millionaire, not for the money, but for the type of person that you have to become in order to become and earn that $1 million. And I think that's it. It's like when I say write a book, write your book, whatever your trade is, whatever it is that you do, whatever you think you're the expert in, sit down and write the book, because in your head you think you know all this shit, and you sit down, type it out or write it out, and you start having to explain it to yourself, and then you realize how much you don't know about it. I mean, that's what I found in every book that I write. I don't know. Like, does that make sense?
It makes complete sense. In every aspect, you know, a wealthy person is an expert in their field. And in every aspect, you should always strive to do what it takes to be that expert, not to just present yourself as such, you know, and actually becoming that person. I mean, I could give somebody $1 million today, but if they don't know anything about, you know, how to hold on to it. I mean, I can give you $1 million in revenue if you just join my Business Guru coaching program, you know, and then you can just pay me half of that a year, and you'll wonder where it all went.
Yeah, I did it. I did a video last week saying the rich keep getting richer and the poor keep getting poorer because the poor refuse to educate themselves. So you can give them. It's just going to float over to my hands somehow, some way. It's
money.
Like,
money is just a game.
You realize what money is. Yeah,
it's a game. It's a game, and the reason why the rich keep getting richer and the poor keep getting poorer is because nobody has taken the time to sit down and read the rules to the game they're playing. And so instead they get upset about the rich person who only pays $750 in taxes, right? Well, are they a criminal, or do they just know the rules of the game? And are they just, you know, they know how to play it well? I mean, because there is, man. I mean, you know, if you're in business, you got such a great opportunity, you know, to make so much more money than just what the business produces, right? But you can't just get stuck on revenue. You have to understand how to keep some of it. You know, I can make you a millionaire, but it's better that you become one, or otherwise you're going to lose it all. And I mean, ultimately, it just kind of boils down to, like, my goal for my business I see my company as just a stepping stone of where I really want to go. And, you know, all the money that's ever been made in this nation has always been made in dirt, in real estate.
Mhm.
And there are ways to produce tax-free income, you know, with a long-term time horizon that a lot of people just don't have the capacity or the patience to deal with. But there's a way for, you know, and you've done it, Brian. That's one of the reasons why, you know, I know you're one of the real ones out there, because you've done this with your business. You have created multiple businesses that were actually worth more than they produced and generated in revenue, right? And so at that point,
Yeah.
that business actually becomes a piece of real estate. And there's so many things that you can do with a piece of real estate that generate way more money than that real estate's worth itself. You know what I'm saying? Or that it produces.
Yeah.
And so
Like
it's
those
a
guys
game.
ask me all the time,
It's a
like,
game.
oh man, how'd you sell your business? Now I want to sell my business. I'm like, well, first of all, nobody's going to buy a fucking job. So one, you got to
Right.
develop the business first, bitch.
Yeah.
Get $3 grand,
Yeah.
$6
Why do I want
for
to
a
pay to
job.
go to work? Right?
You get that's like shit. But yeah, then like learn money, save it, and then like invest it in something. And it's been the dirt, it's been the real estate, it's been some other stuff. Even like, I worked for a guy years ago that told me he won't buy anything that he can't sell for more. And that just always stuck with me. Hearing that like at 18, 19, 20, like what the fuck does that mean? How can you buy something and then sell it for more? Like in everything, whether it was cars or, you know, just, you know, soccer right now, like, and it's worth way more than it should be. And I'm just sitting on it for 2 years, doing some work to it. And I'll probably make $1,000 on that fucking thing. Once I turn around and sell it.
Talking about your Bronco?
Like, people have, yeah. It's like, it's just, because the fuck I want to do with that much money sitting there in four wheels. I can turn that thing, turn around, and that's a whole down payment, if not a whole condominium complex or condo. Like, you know, either a down payment or depending on where you buy it in the United States, it's like shit. I could drive anything, but once you let it go, you're not gonna have it anymore. It's like having that one Babe Ruth baseball card. You know, is it valuable enough to hold it and look at it, or you know, if you've got that kind of money and I don't, or do I want to turn around and triple, you know, 10 times my investment and take that money and put it somewhere else? It's just always I'm trying to think, what's the next move? What's the next 5 moves? Anyway, man, hey, man, I was trying to go an hour, it's been an hour and 20 minutes. I'm serious, I think you have a lot to offer the world, not just the construction trades. And I think a lot of the people here watching are construction guys, and we can grow it. But I'd like to do a weekly show and you and I can bring on guests and goals and call their bullshit if they're willing to come on. You know what I mean? Just because like because with like me, you've been through it, so you're not. It's like so many of these guys want to talk a good game, but they've never really went through it. And there's such a fucking difference. It's like the like you can't fake the confidence, and the comes from, you know, going through the bullshit and like you hit this and chuckle going, and you think that out. Okay. It's like it was great read the book. Now you go to apply it to stay there and work through it. I don't know. Anything you want to say before we get out of here?
So yeah, I mean, I would say I would love to do a weekly podcast with you, man. I think that's definitely something that I'm up for. I mean, there's so many topics that we touched on today that I could just go off on for a whole nother hour, at least 3 or 4 of them. But yeah, man, I'm down for it. I'm getting ready to start my Performant podcast back up as well. And you're definitely
and I don't
somebody that I need.
You're a business owner. You're trying to make money.
No, man, I'm good for it, man. I'm good for it. I think, you know, I think that if we can help some other people and share with some of the things that, you know, that you and I both have learned, things I've learned from you, things you've learned from your mentors, I mean, because at the end of the day, man, I mean, you can go around, you can pay a lot of people a lot of money, but at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how much you pay if you don't apply it. So, long story short, I'd love to do a podcast with you, man.
I'd like to get some of these gurus on here too. Some of the marketing gurus, the business gurus, and I don't know. You can't trick them on, like, see if they really want to come in and give all their information, and then have you and I really pick it apart.
Oh, that's an interesting concept, man. I mean, we could actually not necessarily have them on podcasts like as a guest, but we could contact them and pretty much call them out on their hoax. And pretend to be people who are.
Hey,
oh man, we can scam the scammers.
Yeah. What I'd like to do is, I don't know if he's still watching. He was on earlier watching, but Bob Donnell was on, and it'd be great for you and to sit and talk an hour. I introduced you to Bob because he was up in Boise with his daughter. And I think you guys had lunch or something. Individual. But he's another one of the real deals that just loves sharing and helping guys.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Bob's an amazing. Bob is an amazing guy, man. Politics.
So, all right, guys, we're going to get out of here. And I guess we'll do it again next week. I'm going to be traveling a lot this summer too, so. I can do it from anywhere with this thing. There's no reason not to. So anyway, guys, no matter when you're watching this, a lot of people watching right now, we really appreciate taking your time, money. But this is take what we've said, educate yourself, apply it to your business, apply it to all aspects of your life. And it is. It's about money. Someone tries to tell you different, they're full of shit. The more money you have, the more freedom you can buy. All right, guys, we're out of here. Thanks,
Brian.
Thanks, everyone.